Hi, I hope you've all downloaded a new Miitomo app because there's going to be some slight spoilers here. As you can see, when this first came out, nobody really knew what Nintendo was planning, but it turns out to be some kind of a new form of Miiverse. It's got your little avatar, your Mii, and you can dress it up the way you want. Currently, I'm not wearing any pants as per usual, so you can answer questions, and you can visit your friends, and they can ask you questions, and you can answer their questions, and they can answer your answers to the questions you got asked by yourself. Right, but none of that takes away from the fact that Nintendo let one of their employees get harassed so badly that they decided to eventually just fire her. Yeah. Make no mistake, it was exactly just that. There's no way going around it. Alison Rapp, is the camera diagonal, is it me? The world's askew. Alison Rapp was basically let go by Nintendo because of a campaign to take her down on the internet. I'm not naming any groups because it's no longer a group, it's just a large portion of people intersecting. And you can say it was these or that or those. There's a problem. There's a huge problem. I used to laugh at these kind of things, yeah? Like, woman lets little dog poo in metro, address gets found out, woman gets harassed. I'm like, well, serves you right for letting your dog crap in the subway. And if you tweet things like, I'm flying to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS, lol, and you're a representative of a big corporation, then you deserve to have, you know, your head examined. And perhaps, yeah. But what happened here is not somebody making a huge mistake in their life and having to pay for it. None of this, everything around her, everything, is because of systematic pursuing. And it's insane. Alison Rapp was part of the Club Nintendo of America Treehouse. I haven't watched a lot of that because the people in there didn't interest me as much. At one point she became the target because people erroneously thought that she was part of a localization group. Because Fire Emblem's Fates, or one of the ones that I had no interest in, I'm not huge in Fire Emblem, was, well, let's say I saw what it translated it from and what they had to translate it into, and it's not a pretty job. But it's never one person's fault. But for some reason, she at first got all the blame. Not took the blame, got the blame. She was actually part of the marketing department. So that's when the cogs start rolling. Alison got called a pedophile, and very often in these kinds of things, one of the first things they try to do, or they manage to do, is call someone a pedophile. Several people I've followed, and I've followed as a reason because of things happening around them, have had these exact same things happen to them. Either there are so many pedophiles on the internet and I follow them all, or it's just one of the very first tactics that people use to defame somebody, and it's just fucking disgusting. Okay, so you'd think that if these people who are claimed to be pedophiles, and there's so many people out there with the proof, one of them would eventually face accusations in court, or at least a police investigation. None of this ever happens. Nothing. Let's admit Alison Rapp is a bit of an odd duck. She gets called a social justice warrior, but then she seems to be a very liberated person when it comes to sexuality. When she was in college, she wrote a thesis, and I actually took time this weekend to read that thesis in order to be kind of prepared for this. And it's one of the biggest things that the entire pedophile argument stems from in this matter. Allison takes time to point out differences in between cultures, between the Japanese and the Americans, and you can't impose one culture's morals and values upon the other one. Oddly enough, a lot of gamers seem to agree with this, because 14-year-old girls on video games suddenly wearing less skimpy outfits is a big deal for them. So, after reading through a slough of that entire thing, because it's over 300 pages, I must admit, our Ritalin stopped working, so I kind of lost interest, but that's not really the point. Nobody really cared for who Alison Rapp was until the localization thing. And as soon as she got a big old target pointed on her back, that's when people started systematically digging up things from the past, like this thesis. How Alison's entire Twitter timeline had been picked apart. And this is a matter of tweets do not reflect the employer's opinions, but somehow in this case they must do. Alan's interpretation of certain laws is something I might not necessarily agree with. Mind you, I haven't taken the time to verify every single screenshot, because who does? Who cares? The only reason why you would care is if you have some kind of vendetta against the person. But these people seem to think they do. Why? Literally, why? None of those tweets, none of that would have mattered to Nintendo of America. If people hadn't routinely sent them like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Your employee, this and that. Unfortunately, due to her past, she's mentioned before that her tattoos weren't allowed to be visible. She's got quite a bit of tattoos. And apparently she's had a little bit of a history with her employer at the time. So this caused Nintendo to release her or fire her. And that's completely within their right. Nintendo is not anybody's friend. Nintendo is a company and it does what it thinks is best for the company. So Nintendo was completely in their right to let her go, because apparently she had a second job on the side, which was allowed, allegedly, but it was cam modelling, and I've seen some pictures, but the pictures I've seen were so tame. But I can imagine that if you are a company who kind of has the same reputation as Disney, but then for video games, in a way, family friendly and all that, I can imagine they would not want something like that associated to their brand. But still, the point remains, nobody would have known, nobody would have cared, nobody should care, if it wasn't for some people who really need to get the fuck over themselves. I often say with these kind of things, I kind of land in the middle, because I'm not quite as invested in certain things as some people might be. But when I see a thing like Overwatch changing a butt, I don't give a shit. When I see a localization being crummy, and I mean, I've played Triforce Heroes, but apparently the American one is absolutely horrible and meme-filled, or meme-filled, but I don't care. You know what you can do? Just not care. Move on. There's a lot more in the world. So yeah, Alison Rapp, did she get fired? Was it right for her to get fired? Probably yes. Did Nintendo handle it properly? No. Most likely no. Are the people who are indirectly the cause behind it, who are probably now even scarpering around the excuse, well, people should take responsibilities for their own actions, meaning the cam modelling, should they fuck off? most definitely. I was going to talk about Daredevil Season 2, or a movie I wasn't going to see and then ended up seeing anyway. And you should go see Zootopia. Zootopia's fantastic. But this one was bothering me more than the Overwatch butt. I was going to talk about the Overwatch butt. I like butts. Big fur butts. Yeah.
I am aware of the hypocrisy. Wah.
Shutdown initiated.